Hare Krishna, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. So everyone might have disappointed. Pyare Prabhu is not here. So I'm sorry for that. So I got last minute call from Pyare Prabhu to just to take the class. So just bear with me. I haven't prepared anything. So okay, let's discuss today. Thank you everyone for joining. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Nittai Gaura Haribol Nittai Gaura Haribol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Is it my voice is low?
Yeah, it's a little low, Prabhu. Just like in the morning sometimes.
Okay.
I have to increase my volume to high to even hear you.
So is it same with everyone?
It is good for me, Prabhuji.
It is?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me. Sorry.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
good
No.
for me too.
Okay. So it is 4:31. That is what we are discussing today. Let me share my screen. Okay. Please repeat after me. Nayam lokostya ayajnasya
Nayam
Ayam
lokostya ayajnasya
ayannasya
kutonyaha kurusattama
kutonyaha
kutunaya
kurusattama
kurusattama
Nayam lokostya ayajnasya
Nayam
Nayam
lokostya
lokosta
ayajnasya
ayannasya
Kutanya kurusattama
kutonya
kutunya
kurusattama
kurusattama
Nayam lokastya ayajnasya
Nayam
Nayam lokostya
lokosta
ayajnasya
ayannasya
Kutonyaha kurusattama
kutonyaha
kutunya
kurusattama
kurusattama
And repeat.
Nayam lokostya ayajnasya
Nayam
Nayam
lokastya
lokosta
ayajnasya
ayannasya
kutonya kurusattama
Kutanya
kutunya
kurusattama
kurusattama Nayam lokostai ayanasya.
Nayam lokostya ayatnyasya
Kutonya kuru sattama.
kutonya kuru sattama
Nayam loko astya ayagnasya.
Nayam lokostya ayatnyasya
Kuto anya kuru sattama.
kutonya kuru sattama.
You would like to read the verse? Okay. Synonyms. Na, never.
Na, never.
I am this.
I am
this.
Lokaha, planet.
Lokaha, planet.
Asti, there is.
Asti, there is.
Ayagnyasya, for one who performs no sacrifice.
Ayagnyasya, for one who performs no sacrifice.
Kutaha, where is.
Kutaha,
where is.
Anyaha, the other.
Anyaha, the other.
Kuru Sattama.
Kuru Sattama.
Best amongst the Gurus.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? Purport. Whatever form of material existence one is in, one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reaction of our sinful life. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on in material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may get out of this entanglement. The Vedas therefore give us a chance for escape by pointing out the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and at last the means to get out of the miserable condition entirely. The path of religion, or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above, automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc., even if there is a so-called increase of population. When the body is fully supplied, naturally, the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Vedas prescribe, therefore, sacred marriage for regulated sense gratification. Thereby, one is gradually elevated to the platform of release from material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with the Supreme Lord. Perfection is achieved by performance of yajna, sacrifice, as described above. Now, if a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to Vedas, how can he expect a happy life even in this body, and what to speak of another body on another planet? There are different grades of material comfort in different heavenly planets, and in all cases there is immense happiness for person engaged in different kinds of yajna. But the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planets by the practice of Krishna consciousness. A life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all the problem of material existence. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sakam Tam Sajita हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुवृक्षा कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, after a long time, I got this opportunity to speak on Bhagavad Gita in the evening class, especially. So, we are discussing fourth chapter, the transcendental knowledge, and in this section, we are discussing about different kind of sacrifices. So here, Krishna is saying, "O burst of Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next life?" So sacrifice, so Krishna is giving importance for sacrifice, and last few days we are discussing about this different kinds of yajnas, right? So how it is related? Now this chapter is talking about transcendental knowledge, and now it's talking about this entire section 28 to 27 to 43, I believe, right? This section is talks about different types of sacrifice. So what do you understand? Why Krishna is talking about sacrifice? Anyone would like to say how it is related to transcendental knowledge?
We have to sacrifice some of our material activities to gain transcendental knowledge.
Okay. Yes. Anyone else like to add? So, okay. So here, Krishna is talking about transcendental knowledge. So when you talk about transcendental knowledge, right? The knowledge, knowledge can be different types of knowledge. Actually, knowledge means information of something, right? So we, in our day-to-day life, we acquire so many knowledge. If we are working in the IT industry, we acquire the knowledge of this technology, one technology, other technology, or if someone is in other field, scientist, they acquire the knowledge of different thing. But Krishna is not talking about all this knowledge. Those all are mundane knowledge or the material knowledge. But Krishna is talking about transcendental knowledge. So transcendent, the word transcendent means going above, going beyond something. So Krishna is talking about the knowledge which take us to beyond this three modes of material nature. So that is called transcendental knowledge. And which the subject matter will take us to the beyond three modes of nature? That is the knowledge about soul, knowledge about super soul, jnana, what you call real the jnana, and we know the Vijnana means the realized knowledge. So the jnana, when you talk about real knowledge, jnana means it's knowledge about soul and super soul, the Jivatma and Paramatma, the super soul, and what is the relationship between that. That's the third point. So knowledge about soul, the Jivatma, living entity, knowledge about super soul, Paramatma, Supreme Lord, and the relationship. What is the relationship? The third and fourth is after knowing that relationship, what should one perform? What activity one should perform? Right? What is the real duty of a living entity? So this four subject matter in Krishna is talking about, and knowing about this subject matter is transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is not, it won't keep us in this material world. This knowledge take us beyond this material world. That is what Krishna is talking about, transcendental knowledge. And Krishna is talking about different kind of sacrifices here, right? Last few verses we are discussing about sacrifices, and Krishna is saying that by performing this yajnas, different kind of yajnas, right? He's talking about demigod worship. Also, he's talking about different kind of yoga system. By performing everything, one can get the real now. One can elevate it to the position or the situation or the place where they can acquire this knowledge. They can understand this knowledge. Without that, it's very difficult to understand this four subject matter which I just spoke. So for that, one should perform the yajnas, tapa. So that is what, to in a other word, right? This our life is meant for tapa. That's what in the previous verse we discussed, tapa. There are four basic principles, right? So we know the four regulative principles. It's known as tapa, satyam, daya, and sautyam. So out of this tapa means austerities. Austerity means our body is meant for performing austerity. Its body is not meant for sense gratification. Then one may ask me, then is it am I saying that one should not do any kind of sense gratification? No, it's not like that. When sense gratification, there is a very the difference between fulfilling the basic need of senses and doing the sense gratification. Both are two different concept. Our body, as right, we have a soul, spirit soul, which is Atma and which is eternal, and the spirit soul is separated from Krishna. The living entity has separated from Supreme Lord, and in this material world, the living entity, the Atma, cannot stay separately. Atma needs a body, the material body. When you go back to the spiritual world, Atma can acquire the spiritual body, but in the material world, it has to get the material body. So when as long as the soul is in the material body, it has to, I mean the Atma or the we have to nourish the body, right? It's not that the basic, there is a basic need of the body, right? We need to eat some food. So why we need to take care of our body? Because to keep our soul and body together, so that we can utilize this platform to leave this material world and go above the material world and go to the spiritual world. If the soul leaves the body, then soul cannot independently perform the sadhana or bhakti or whatever we think about, which the medium or the path which lead us to the spiritual world. For that it required a body. So for that body body has basic necessities. It has to be nourished. So that is allowed, and that is what we need to do. Because we want to feed our body so that we can live a healthy life, and we spend our time, energy for the Krishna consciousness. But what's happening is lack of this knowledge. People in general try to gratify their senses. Gratify means overfeeding. It's not required at all, and they understand that by doing that, whatever the temporary happiness they get, that That is the real happiness. And but that's not temporary. And because of that, they're not satisfied anytime, and they're spending whole life putting whole energy to acquire something so that they can do the sense gratification, and eventually they're not happy at all. So that leads to their miserable life. When they get this, what they say, what is this? Where is the God? Where is I spend whole my life, but I'm still facing the miserable condition. So yeah, it's obviously, Krishna, that's what he's saying. The body is meant for perform the austerity, tapa. Unless until one is perform austerity, the detachment from this material world, from this, it's difficult to come out of the bodily platform of the life. That is why Krishna is saying about performing tapa, yajnas, because by performing that, we can control our senses. By controlling our senses, we can stop the need of our senses. Our senses is wandering. They needs lot of things, but by putting our intelligence, we have to control that. And how this intelligence will come, and we discussed that is what the intelligence will come from, the knowledge. Unless until someone has the knowledge, how can he develop the intelligence? And when the intelligence is not there, then obviously we will lead to the wrong path. We do not understand what is correct and what is wrong. So that is what the knowledge is all about. So this, when you acquire this transcendental knowledge, everything will be. And when you get this knowledge, then we start performing tapasya, austerities, yajnas, by regulatively control our senses. So that is what this verse is talking about. And Prabhupada, let's discuss what Prabhupada is saying here. So whatever form of material existence one is in, one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. Very strong sentence. That is what we have been discussing for a long time. Whatever form of material existence one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. So that means Prabhupada is saying that as long as one has taken the birth in this material world, acquired this material body, that means he is ignorant of the real condition, right? So many times we have a great scientist, great philosopher, rich man, they become proud of their position. They think that, oh, we know everything in this world. I'm the greatest scientist. I developed this. I invented this. But on reality, Prabhupada is saying that whoever is taken a birth in the material world, they are ignorant, because they do not understand. They do not understand the real happiness, or they do not understand what is the real devotional services, and they wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna, and they landed in this material world. That means they are the biggest ignorant. They do not know anything. So all this degrees or the material possessions is not work out. So Prabhupada is saying, in other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reaction of sinful lives, and ignorance is the cause of the sinful life, and the sinful life is the cause of one's dragging on the material existence. So Prabhupada is explaining the circle. If recently you might have read in the Nectar of Devotion classes, right? The Kleshagni, right? Nectar of Devotion say Kleshagni, the circle. How this sinful circle happen, right? First, everything starts from the ignorance only. When someone is ignorant, what happens? Because of his lack of knowledge, which is wrong and which is right, he develop the attachment, or he perform the sinful act. because of the ignorant, because he's not aware of that this is wrong, this is correct, that he will perform the sinful act. And because of the sinful act, what happens? The karma cycle starts. It's from the sinful act, from the papam, then the bijam and kutam start. Bijam means it will implant the sinful seed. From the seed, then we got the parabdha karma and aparabdha karma, right? From that seed, it will either it can be the reaction will come because we perform. Someone has done the sinful action, so definitely they'll get a sinful reaction for that act. So it can be parabdha or it can be aparabdha. Means parabdha means it's immediately you can suffer for that, or aparabdha means in future you will get that, right? So that is the circle happens. So the Vedas, Prabhupada is saying, the Vedas therefore give us a chance for escape by pointing out the path of religion, economic comfort, and regulated sense gratification, at last the means to get out of this miserable condition entirely. So Vedas give us as an opportunity, the chance to escape from this material world. So Vedas, right? Veda means knowledge. Veda. The Sanskrit Veda means knowledge. So this knowledge, so it talks about Veda. So it's not that sometimes Vedas means people think that there are 4 types of Veda. That is the sub part of the whole Veda. Vedas means knowledge. Whichever gives us the transcendental knowledge, that's called Veda. Out of that, the 4 Vedas are there, and we have Upanishads. We have a Puranas, we have a Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. There are Shruti and Smritis are there. So that is a broader category. So these all comes under Veda. So when we understand this Veda, then we will come out of that ignorant position. Prabhupada saying that ignorant is the root cause of this right, this condition, because we are situated in material world because of the ignorant. And to escape from the ignorant, that means we need to develop. Ignorance means unknown. We are not knowing something. How can we know something? Means we have to study about that, understand about that. So when we read the Vedas, understand the Vedas, then we'll get an opportunity to escape from this material, from this situation. So that is what one should understand this. So the Vedas therefore give us a chance for escape by pointing out the paths of religion, economic comfort, regulated sense gratification, and at last the means to get out of this miserable condition entirely. The path of religion, or the different kinds of sacrifice recommended above, automatically solves our economic problems. By performance of yajna, we can have enough food, enough milk, etc., even if there is so-called increase of population. When the body is fully supplied, naturally the next stage is to satisfy the senses. The Veda prescribed, therefore, sacred marriage of regulated sense gratification. So that is what when we perform the different yajnas, automatically all the demigods will be satisfied, and we'll get enough rain, we need grains and everything. But yajnas also, what is the meant for yajnas? In Krishna, 3rd chapter says that, yajna also, it's, how should we perform the yajna? Krishna says, yajnartha karmano anyatra, loko ayam karma bandhana, tadartam karma konteya, mukta sangaha samachara. So Krishna says that yajna means yajnartha karmano anyatra. I mean, Krishna saying that yajna means it's for the satisfaction of the Vishnu only. That is the means of yajna, not for any other meaning. If you do any other purpose, that is not a yajna. That again becomes sense gratification. Nowadays, the so-called yajnas are happening that because why do we perform the yajna? Because of we want to get something, right? Some material benefit. But that should not be yajna. Yajna should be always performed for Vishnu, satisfying Vishnu. Otherwise, Krishna saying that loko ayam karma bandhana. Otherwise, we will be karma bandhana. We will be attached to this karma, this material world. That is what we need to understand. So, but when someone is performs a yajna, then what happens is eventually, gradually, he will get to the stage of knowledge. Therefore, one is gradually elevated to the platform of release of material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life is to associate with Supreme Lord. Okay. So Prabhupada saying that now if a person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Vedas, how can he expect a happy life even in this body? So because if someone is not performing the yajna, so what happens? He always, he will be in a material condition, material attachment. So that is what, Prabhupada is saying, that this knowledge, that knowledge is so important. And once we acquire this knowledge, and we can come out of this bondage. And ultimately, what is the ultimate goal? Okay, is the knowledge is the ultimate goal? No, that is also not ultimate goal. By knowledge, but the highest kind of happiness that a man can achieve is to be promoted to the spiritual planet by practice of Krishna consciousness. If you talk about this knowledge, so many people are interested on the Vedas, right? Vedas, they're not interested on pure bhakti, but the Vedas, because they think that Vedas will give so much knowledge. So this Veda, and also the 4 kinds of Veda, it talks about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But is that dharma, artha, kama, moksha lead us to spiritual planet, the real love of Krishna? It may not be exactly, because we may get liberated. That because the last section of karma, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Moksha part means liberation. We may get liberation, but we may not get what is that? There are many types of liberation we know, right? We may not get the pure the liberation where we go back to the spiritual world and become get the opportunity to serve the Lord. We may get other kind of liberation, like even merging with impersonal Brahman is also liberation only. But that's not a permanent liberation. Although one may million year he will be, the soul will be merged into Brahman, but ultimately the soul will come out of that. But that is not a, so karma. So in a Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about this this topic. First canto, second chapter, it says, dharmaha svanutishta pumsam vivekshana kathau yaha no utpadayat yadi ratim srama eva hi kevalam. So it says that the occupational activity of a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they are do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Srama eva kevalam. If you perform all the activities, even though yajnas, even though we perform the yajna, if it is not meant for, get attracted to the message of Krishna, it's if the anything we perform, it's not the purpose is not to get the love of Krishna. That means it is Sramayeva Kevalam. Bhagavatam say it's just waste work, right? Sometimes we do lot of work, but the result will be zero, right? Then how do we feel? Oh, I spent whole month to get this, and finally when I saw that there is nothing. So that is what, if you anything we do in the life, the purpose is not for Krishna consciousness, or purpose is not to get the love of God, that means it's waste of work. Srama eva hi kevalam. So this is what Bhagavatam says. And who is speaking the Bhagavatam? This verse, first canto, second chapter. Anyone would like to say?
Who's speaking what, Prabhu?
The first canto, right? I gave this verse from first canto, second chapter. So I'm asking, who is speaking this verse? To whom? Dharma
So-
is. Yes, Master.
Sukadeva Swami to Parikshit Maharaj.
No, Mataji. This first canto is not Sukadev Goswami and Sukadev Goswami Parish. And if you remember, we haven't reached the chapter where Parikshit Maharaj appeared, right?
Sutta Goswami then.
Yes.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Sutta Goswami is speaking to the sages of Naimesharanya, right? He's talking that they asked a question. The sages asked the question, okay, what is the purpose of life? Huh? Because and what is the highest goal of the life? And like that, they asked for 6 different questions. And the Sutta, one out of the 2 questions is, what is the purpose or highest goal of the life? And what should one perform? And then Sutta Goswami is answering this question, right? And his series of verses he speaks, he speaks that Sabai pumsa paro dharmam ato bhaktir adokyaje ahi tuki apriyata yadim prisiddhati. Saboi pamsa puro dharma means our dharma is to by unflinching, unconditional, uninterrupted service to the Lord. That is our highest goal of life. And that is what our goal should be, the Krishna conscious goal. And apart from that, if you do anything else which is not directed to this goal, that means that is Rama Evehi Kevalam. That is just a waste of work. It's that is what Sutta Goswami is saying. So again, even if someone is interested in the Vedas, right? If someone is interested to perform the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and that even Sutta Goswami, that also is saying, dharmasya hi apavargasya. Nartho artha pa kalpate, narthasya dharma dharmaikantasya kamalobha is smrita. So dharmasya hi apavargasya means, all occupational engagement, anything we perform, right, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. That's true. So that's why even if someone is doing dharma, following some kind of dharma and artha, because why they're following the dharma? To get some artha. Artha means get some kind of money, right? And what they do, that artha, even though someone is doing dharma for artha, that artha should be utilized for not kama. That artha should be utilized for the moksha. That is what Sutta Goswami is saying here. Not that one should get that artha to do the kama, sense gratification. And in this verse, also Prabhupada is saying that one should not perform sense gratification. Like yajna, or one should perform to get the ultimate knowledge, and using that knowledge, ultimately one should develop the love of Krishna, perform the bhakti. So ultimately one should come to the stage of bhakti. That is all. That is the real reason for acquiring this knowledge. And even though the Vedas, right, when you're studying Vedas, Upanishad, although the Vedas talk about dharma, artha, the kama, moksha, but Sutta Goswami is saying that that's all for less intelligent people, not for intelligent people. Intelligent people always wants to perform the dharma to get artha, but that artha should be they utilize for getting moksha, by getting for liberation, for real liberation from Krishna, develop Krishna conscious activities. So that is what we need to understand here, and the jnana is all about that. So this jnana lead us to develop the Krishna consciousness. So also, also this jnana will give us to detach from this material world. So I would like to recite one story. How this, how can you use, then coming to the question, right? We need to use everything in the service of the Lord, and by the knowledge, so that we can develop the detachment. So how can you use everything in the service of the Lord? That's a very important thing to understand. Let's see. There, a small story. there was a king, okay, very powerful king. He has a very beautiful palace. And the king wants that in what is that, in the beautiful palace is there, and in the palace is surrounded by the walls, right? What do you call, boundary walls, right? And that's also very beautiful arts are there, and and the king doesn't want anyone should write anything on those walls, should not touch at all, because that's very beautiful. Because that India, if some walls are there, people come and they put so many ads and all these things. Especially I don't see here, but in India, wherever you go, any walls, they put all the ads. So the king wanted that, because the palace is so beautiful, no one should come and do anything on the wall. So that's why he especially arranged the security guards surrounding his palace, so that no one should come. So there was a painter, okay, who is a very excellent painter. So he saw that, okay, he wants to show his showcase, he wants to show his talent to king. So he wants to draw something on the wall, beautiful painting, because the painting are there. So he wants to also paint something on the wall, because the wall is plain. The king doesn't want to anything to on the wall, because he has something to do with this wall. So the painter thought, then what is that? And whoever is touched and do anything on the wall, the king punish very severely. So one day, what happened, when because still the painter wants to do something on the wall, he wants to show something, and actually he got some challenge from some of the minister, I think. Yeah, so he got a challenge, who can show, who can paint this wall, or who can do anything on the wall, but make sure the king may not won't be the king should not, and because the security guards are there, and you have to go and do such a way that you won't get punishment, king. And everyone came and thought that, oh, how can we do that? Because king, there are security guards, and if they're not allowing to do anything, how is possible to do that? So then that painter, one painter came out, and what he did, he went and wrote something on the wall. The king came, and he became happy. Instead of punishing, he became happy. Can anyone guess what did the painter do so that king become happy?
I don't know. Praise the king.
No, he did something on the wall. The king did not want anyone to should write or do anything on the wall. But after seeing this, the painter wrote something, he became happy, and he instead of punishment, he rewarded him. Any girl? Okay. No problem. So what the painter did, painter took a brush, and on the wall in the corner, very small letter, everywhere he read, stick no bills. And when he did that, stick no bills, that was right on the letter. Then when king saw that, oh, he did the right thing. He wrote that stick no bills. That means he's giving the message to anyone. No one should do anything on the wall. No one should attach anything on this wall. And king become happy. So this is called. This is the example of called Yukta Vairagya. I was talking about how one can utilize everything in the service of the Lord. So the painter has the talent of writing something, and he did something so that king become happy. So that's way in this material world, whatever we have, right? If we use that talent for the benefit of Krishna, for the pleasing, for the which brings benefit to the Krishna, and Krishna will be happy. So that kind of quality we need to develop here. So that's why Prabhupada is concluding that thing, that a life of Krishna consciousness is therefore the solution to all problems in material existence. So that is the solution to everything. So we, instead of finding multiple solutions, right, to survive in this material world, to come out of the miseries of life. So if you develop the Krishna consciousness, that will give us the ultimate solution to all the problem. So in other words, it says that material problem, spiritual solution. That's what the combination it fits. We have so many material problem, but solution is spiritual solution. When we adapt this Krishna consciousness activity, then we will come out of this. That is what the Prabhupada is saying. So if you see the purport, O best of Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next life? Krishna. So I would like to stop here. Is there any question or comment, or anyone would like to share any realization or any correction you'd like to do?
So the sacrifice is for the knowledge, you said, Prabhu?
Yeah, the sacrifice ultimately in this section, it's saying that all these sacrifices is an ultimate goal to get the knowledge, knowledge about Krishna. And with that knowledge, we perform. Finally, the goal is to develop that love of God. In this next verse, it continues that. Okay. So that's what he said. The Prabhupada also, the Vedas prescribe therefore sacred. Where is that? So thereby one gradually elevated the platform, the release of material bondage, and the highest perfection of liberated life to associate with the Supreme Lord. The perfection is achieved by Vedas, by performing yajna as described above. If the person is not inclined to perform yajna according to the Veda, how can he become happy?
So except for the Brahman liberation is called Sayujya, right? I forget.
Sayujya, yeah.
Yeah. So but the other forms of liberation, aren't you still associating with the Lord?
So yeah, that's like Samipya, and yeah, the other kind of liberation. But for that liberation, only we can get when we perform the bhakti. If you pure bhakti, otherwise we cannot get other kind of liberation also, because that is take us to the in the spiritual planet, in the Krishna Loka, although in a different of going to that spiritual planet, like Samipya Sayujya means becoming the associate, personal servant of the Krishna, become personal associate, or getting equal opulence like Krishna. And there is one more, right? So all this bhakti, it's required bhakti. But when out of that, but devotees want that pure love, right? They don't just love, they don't want, that's a different scenario.
Oh, they don't want moksha, they want real love of God.
They real want to do they do not care about whether I go back to the spiritual world or not, but as long as they are able to serve the Lord, either it's a spiritual world or material world or in the holiest planet, they are okay with that. But they need devotee association, Krishna Katha, and constantly opportunity to serve the Lord. That's what they want, but ultimately when they do that, the byproduct is liberation, right? That's ultimately come out of that activities.
Yeah, liberation is a handmaiden, yeah, to
Right.
devotional service.
Hey Krishna, anything you want? What is the next verse? We can read the next verse maybe. It's a very small purport is there. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. I lose my charger. Okay, please repeat once so we can read. 4.32. Evam bahuvida yajna
Evam bahuvidha yajna
vitata brahmana mukhe
vitata brahmano mukhe
karma jana viddhi sarvan
karmajan vidhi stan sarvan
evam gyatva vimokhyate.
evam nyatva vimokshase.
Translation: all these different types of sacrifice are approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Purport: different types of sacrifice, as discussed above, are mentioned in the Veda to suit different types of worker. Because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept, these sacrifices are also so arranged that one can work either with the body, with the mind, or with the intelligence. But all of them are recommended for ultimate bringing about liberation from the body. This is confirmed by the Lord herewith from his own mouth. Hmm? So different. So Krishna is referring here all the different kind of yajnas. So starting from he's talking about some demigods worship, performing different Ashtanga yogas, performing karma yoga. Different. Performing the austerities, going through different austerities. So all these different kind of sacrifices are meant for different kind of people, right? It's that all are not in the same category, and everyone will come to the stage of um, you know, the goal is to get liberation, and ultimately when they perform this all the austerity sacrifice, and they will be detached from this body, detached from the material world. So, and again, right, ultimately performing this austerity sacrifice without knowledge also won't work out, right? If someone is not knowing anything, he whimsically do that. So what happens? He may get some benefit, but he may not get the what is complete benefit of that, right? Why he's performing, so maybe sometimes he thinks that, okay, when I do this because of I get so many material benefits, right? I get a nice wife, nice house, nice money, and all these things. That's what many yajnas also prescribed in the Vedas, right? Talks about this called karma kanda. So we need to come out of this karma kandic activities. Karma kanda too, we need to convert into karma yoga. That is the transition. It's the biggest transition. And in the yoga also there are another transition. Finally, the bhakti yoga is another biggest transition. But beyond, if it's not attached with the yoga, right? If it is yoga means connection with the Supreme Lord, right? Anything we perform for connecting the Lord means our soul is connecting to the Supreme Lord, right? That means that is yoga. If anything we are doing not for that purpose, that is not called yoga, but it is all called karma kanda. Karma kanda activities. Karma kanda means we are performing some kind of activities. It may be yajna or the tapasya or anything, or it's the purpose is to get some material benefit. That's called karma kanda. But still, the karma kanda is prescribed in the Vedas because one may think that then why the Vedas is prescribing this, right? Vedas, it's category, different category, right? One may not reach to the ultimate goal at one go, right? It's very difficult to do that transition, the big transition, right? So the Veda, that's why animalistic life, right? There's those who are not following any rules and regulation. They're living like animals, eating, sleeping, mating, different, not doing anything. For them, go to one step above. That is karma kanda. Karma kanda, do everything for sense gratification only, but follow according to the scripture. According to means in the Vedas talks about do's and don'ts. Using that scripture, you follow that uh, uh, scripture and do your activity, but the goal is sense gratification only. So that is the one step ahead. That's called karma kanda. And many people, they are always stick there. Okay, and they also consider karma kanda means it's a bhakti, because sometimes they're doing worshipping some demigod, sometimes they're doing different types of yajnas, and they think, okay, this is what a bhakti they understand. But that is not a complete understand. Bhakti means loving, developing the loving relationship with Krishna. So then that's what next transition will be. It comes under the yoga. Yoga means its connection. So there are different stages, right? Karma yoga is there, Ashtanga yoga is there, Jnana yoga is there, Dhyana yoga is there, and Bhakti is the supreme. And that's why Prabhupada is saying that different types of sacrifice discussed above are mentioned in the Vedas to suit different types of worker, because men are so deeply absorbed in the bodily concept. These sacrifices are so arranged one can work either with the body, the mind, or intelligent. So working with the body means karma yoga. Working in the mind means dhyana yoga. And working with the intelligence is going in this body, mind, and intelligence. Intelligence is it's a bhakti, because that will give us the pure. So in that level also one can perform the yajnas. But all of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body. Ultimately, we need to detach from the body. The soul has to detach. Unless until the soul is detached, the soul cannot go to the spiritual world. Soul has to leave this material body and acquire the spiritual body. Hare Krishna. That's all I have. Any comment, question?
Very nice class. But I don't know, it's hard to stay steady in sacrifice.
But we need to, even if someone is not able to perform all the yajnas, different kind of sacrifice, we have a best yajna, that is Sankirtana yajna, right?
Yeah, we
So
do have that.
If you do that yajna offenselessly, and that's it's not necessary that but still there are some kind of sacrifices are required. For example, yesterday what Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, and many of them are fast they fasted and without water, so that's called austerity. So our body is meant for austerity. That's what body is not for enjoyment. If you perform the austerity in the regular interval time, that means our body will stop demanding more and more. We are trying to control our senses by this austerity, and that is the one way. And the second reason for austerity is that so that we can spend our time and energy for thinking of Krishna instead of fulfilling the bodily need. So that is what austerity is also helpful in developing the bhakti. All right, thank you everyone. So it was my impromptu class, so forgive me if anything I have I mean, I haven't, I couldn't make justice. Of course, I can't make justice. Always Pyare Prabhu's class is always excellent, but I just feel his class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, you did fine, Prabhu. Thank you.
So, thank you, Mataji. Let's offer our obeisances to Vaishnavas. Vancha
Panchakapataravyascha kripasindhudevachya patitanam pavanebhyo Vishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Srimad
Ras
Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Ras Raj Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.